Hi everyone. I would like to talk to you furthermore about today about oppositional defiant disorder. Since that happens to be a antecedent to conduct disorder, it does not necessarily mean that ODD will um, lead to conduct disorder. But I would like to just discuss in a little further details about ODD because it is very important, as I have worked with some students, at least one student that I know that was diagnosed with ODD. ODD stands for Oppositional Defiant Disorder, and it means there is always defiance, disobedience, and there's always hostile behavior towards others. And usually that kind of behavior, in order for student to be diagnosed with that, with ODD, it has to be 6 months or longer. That behavior has to persist, meaning the student has to show total, defiance, hostility towards others, always causing problems and trouble. And when they are at fault, they never recognize or realize that they have done something wrong, and they always blame others for their behavior. So ODD is kind of tricky and very difficult to deal with when you have students. And usually students, it can start from age 3 to age 8, 9, and then it can turn into conduct disorder, or later on, or it becomes usually apparent between early childhood to all the way to maybe middle to the teenagehood, or middle grades, or even high school. But I have experience specifically with elementary level, meaning first and second grade, and where I've seen distinct features of ODD. So the characteristics of ODD is very quickly losing temper, arguing with adults at all time, and refusing to comply with any requests that adults have, and also deliberately causing or doing something that would annoy or hurt other people. They're very sensitive, very touchy. They become very resentful. They can be very vindictive, spiteful. They will, for example, I've observed this student sit with other students on working on an activity on a computer, and if the other student was doing something or talking to the other student, and or smiling or saying something to the other student, they will try to shut him down, meaning they'll get up, they'll try to hit him, they'll try to tell him to shut up, they'll try to tell him to all these different orders that all these different things that they do. It's very usually provocative. They get easily provoked for no reason. You could have, let's say, you could tell them, "Oh, can you move this pencil here?" And he or she will say, "No, I don't want to do that," and throws the pencil at you, even though if you ask them politely. To deal when you're in a classroom, and this is specifically for teachers, it is very important to watch that behavior, and then maybe have a school psychologist and social worker observe them, and then also district, if it's possible, comes in and observes that kind of behavior, where that behavior becomes really disruptive, and it becomes danger to students and danger to him or herself. So what usually teachers do and should do is have the observation, work with that, and then try to get the parents on board to be observed, and to try to work on a behavior chart plan, to try to work out an IEP where initial observations and all that should be done. The problem is with ODD, usually things get worse rather than better. So the earlier on the child is put on the behavior chart, is the earlier on is structured and early on the child realizes the consequences of the behavior that needs to be done. Now, in school, the consequences that teachers usually implement is usually taking away the recess, having, if they break anything or they clean up or they break stuff in classroom, usually have a master clean up when they come down, and all that stuff. I think it's usually very useful to observe that kind of behavior, and if it's coming to the escalation, is to try to get the student to take a 5-minute break, or to ask for a 5-minute break, or to walk, or to, when they are emotionally escalated. I think that's very important, but also with these kinds of students, it's never, I mean, usually you do not want to get into a struggle, a power struggle with the students, but usually, especially with a student that has ODD or might have an ODD, that defies everything that you say. So I would not get into power struggle. I would try to have the student feel that they're under control while you guiding them through their emotional and challenging things. Usually, these students kind of do things that can really provoke students, that can easily fight, and so you do not want to get into that kind of power struggle. You have to fight, pick and choose your battles with that. So I think it's very important to realize the importance of being patient and giving the student a what is it called, time to calm down and time to find a calming spot, or take them to the motor room. Motor room is usually a place where the student can exercise, use different tools to calm down, Play-Doh, sand, whatever the tools, the yoga balls and all that stuff, that helps bring a calming environment and atmosphere to students. But the most important thing is to head on to take the steps head on to address this kind of behavior, because this behavior can happen every minute, every second, in any kind of situation, provoked, unprovoked, because these students are very sensitive to all that. So getting the parents to be on the same board, and usually this kinds of behavior is not only it does not only happen in school, it happens at home, especially if the behavior is a lot more aggressive and a lot more physically violent and all that. That usually happens at home. It doesn't just happen in school, or the other way around. But at times, at the mild cases, the beginning cases, it might only happen in school, and then slowly it starts to spill at home, and it starts to spill with friends, or when they hang out. Well, so far, ODD is very difficult for students, because a lot of students do not know how to socially and emotionally guide themselves through that, and their sensitivity is so heightened that it becomes very difficult to guide it and to control it. Well, I will talk about ODD next time again, because there's more information, but this is it for right now.